Hi, this is Kevin Stewart Builds 250. I'm Kev, and this is issue 16 of Build the Ferrari F40 Competizione. Okay, so issue 16. I've already been warned about issue 16. There is some issues with the pictures not kind of matching up, and some of the parts are different colour. So we'll get into that when we have a look at the actual parts themselves in the magazine. But yeah, it's adding detail to the engine. It looks like, to me, what they seem to have done with a lot of these is they've had a prototype. I'm not too sure. So some of the parts are a different colour. They're not fitting as they show in the instructions. So it's almost as if, as I say, they've had a prototype build where they've taken all the shots for the magazine, and then the actual production car is slightly different, causing a few issues, that because you want, when you've got the instructions, you want them to look like what the pictures in the instructions look like, but not always the case. So as I say, as we go through, I'll try and identify some of these issues where it's not quite matching what the instructions show. But not detracting from it. I'm still loving this build. It's still by far my favourite. I'm loving the detail on the engine. Loving what we've done so far. So it's going to be stunning, I'm sure. And hopefully, there won't be too many of these issues where we've just got to apply a bit of, not so much common sense, but looking at it and thinking, have they changed it? It'd be nice if they told us. But hey, I'm waffling on that. So, well, let's get into it anyway. Let's get into the build for issue 16. Okay, the parts laid out for issue 16. What's it called? Water pump parts, isn't it? I think water pump and other engine parts. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, this is going to cause, it has caused some issues, and it's these little parts here. They call them the upper head covers. Yeah, we'll get around to them, but they look exactly the same. Have a look. Look absolutely exactly the same, but one has got L written on it and one's got an R written on it, left and right, so they are slightly different. I've already test fitted them, and yeah, they're going to maybe cause a few issues, but the rest of it, yeah, all there, all checked off as in the inventory. Slightly different, of course, as well, because in the picture they're silver and they're black on these ones, so slightly different there, but they're all there. As always, yet the magazine, have a quick look through that. Just look at the lovely pictures, really, I tend to do, but there is, I do read these. There's quite a lot of interesting information in these magazines. Actually, as always, the centre fold of the Ferrari as well. Track days of that one. Some older Ferraris, and yeah, the instructions for this particular stage 16, which we're going to get into now. So let's get into the build. Okay, so we're into instruction number 1. Now this has caused massive issues, because on the Facebook group, one of the guys, Mark Shaw, messages me about not actually getting it to look anything like the picture. And also that these are, I think I've mentioned left and right, these have got left and right. They are actually handed, because the D pin is slightly different. If I hold them exactly the kind of right same way round, so they're the same way. Okay, so they're looking pretty much identical. Pin movements. If you have a look, the D pin on them is different. That one's straight and that one's at an angle. So it does mean there is a left and a right for this. It doesn't mention it in the instructions, which is quite frustrating. But there is actually a left and a right one of these. Now you've got to be eagle-eyed to notice, but inside there is an L or an R. Okay. So make sure that when you're putting these on, you are putting them on, handing them to the left and the right, the cylinder heads that we had in the last couple of issues. And when you do that, because they have got D-shaped holes that these D-shaped pins are going to have to go into. So make sure you're getting it the right way around. So the left hand one, this side, is marked with an L. Okay. And quite simply get it matched up to the D hole and just push it on. Now with the right hand one, do the same thing. A D hole obviously, your D pin, and get it orientated the right way around, match it up and push it on. Okay, now when you do that, it looks like that. Let's get a better angle on the camera, close-up camera. Yeah. So you end up with it looking kind of like that, which looks nothing like the picture in the magazine, because well, the left hand one's fine, but the right hand one, that's at a different angle on the picture on the magazine. Now these are also different colours, remember, these are black and the ones in the magazine are silver. So I think, and looking at a picture that somebody put on the Facebook group once again of the actual Ferrari F40 V8 engine, that looks more correct with them pointing upwards and in that orientation. That looks a lot more correct to the actual engine than it does with that at a different angle as it shows in the instructions in the magazine. So I'm going to leave mine like that. So I'm going to leave mine like that because that fits better with the D holes and the orientation within the cylinder heads. I've gone further on in the build as well, and I can't see where they get fitted to anything, but we'll cross that bridge, or I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But for now, yes, that's how I'm having them. I'm not gluing them in, I'm just pushing them in, but be aware they are handed. It doesn't mention that in the magazine, and also that they won't look anything like the picture. Well, the left hand one will, but the right hand one won't. Okay, so a bit frustrating. A lot of time and effort to hopefully sort that out. But moving on then, so we've got these parts as well, which is B, which they call them both B, but they're not. One's different, obviously. That's part number 6, and that's part number 5. But it does show the picture which way around. So the part number 5, which is the one with the pipe part on, goes on the right hand one. And once again, yeah, it's got a D hole and that's got a D pin, so we're just going to fit that into there in the orientation that it shows with the pin. And the other one has got a D again, and that just goes in the other side. Try and match up the D hole. Okay. So when we're finished, hopefully it looks a little bit like that. Obviously I've discussed at length that right hand one, but the one with the pin for the pipe or whatever's going to go on there, don't know where. Okay. Thanks. And now we've got to join the two parts together of the water pump and the water pump body as shown. So we've got the water pump body and the water pump pulley. Fitting them together like that. I don't think there's any keyway or anything on these, no keyway or anything on them, so they just go like that. And then we are screwing that together with the F-type screw. That's at a massive angle, so I'm not happy with that. Let's take that off. And try and get this on nice and straight. Sometimes it's a really easy issue, or you think there's going to be a really easy issue, cause you the most problems. And this is causing me problems. Okay, so warp and body's on. And mount the water pump on the front of the engine as well as the torsion damper with the pulley. Okay. Just needs to be opened up a little bit, I think. There's this hole here. This hole, so I think what's going to happen is these two pins are going into those two holes there. In that orientation. Yeah, so you've got two pins. Yeah, and they're just going to go into that hole and that hole. The problem is that mine are a little bit enlarged. I'm trying to just make the hole a little bit bigger. Not too much because it still just gets pushed in. It's not going to go in with glue. Or it doesn't say to glue it. So. But that isn't going in very well at all. That's a lot of pressure I'm putting on there. Craft knife out. These hole there, hole there. We're going to just have to enlarge a little bit. Maybe scrape off a little bit of excess on these as well. This bottom one, giving me the most program, metal one. Okay, so that wasn't easy to go on. A lot of scraping away of a bit of paint, and in the end, on the end, and a lot of pressure onto there. Got that on, but not easy. As I say, that was, once again, I mean, these aren't glued on, so they have to be that interference fit. But it's on now, no gap. But yeah, that was not easy to go on. That was quite tough to put on. Okay, so that's the water pump, body and pulley, and then it's saying to put the torsion damper with the pulley on. So this is obviously the torsion damper part. Show that. So this torsion damper part, and that's just going to fit in onto that part there. So it just pushes on. Okay. And then it's just to connect them both together using this belt and some pair of tweezers. The only easy part on that issue, yeah, goes on quite nicely there. Okay. That's on. It's quite a simple issue, really. Should be quite a simple issue, but threw up quite a few problems. But looking good, nice and detailed. There we go. So issue 16 done yet? Not the easiest in the world, obviously. Identifying whether the instructions were correct or how it goes on, the orientation on that part slightly different. Obviously different colour as well. But as I covered in the introduction, maybe it's just the difference between a prototype model that they did with all the instructions in the magazine and the actual car we're getting now, which is the production model. But yeah, and getting that wall pump on as well, that wasn't that easy. A lot of pressure. I had to scrape away a bit of the paint, but sometimes that's what you have to do with modelling. It's just, you know, making things fit. All of these ones are, as I say, interference fit. They're not requiring glue, so they are going to be pretty tight to go on because they're going to have to stay on anyway. But well detailed, really impressed with the engine, looking very, very smart now, looking impressive, highly detailed, and a good quality part. So it's going to look impressive when it's in the car. But hey, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you'd like to see the progression of this build, then please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the bell if you want to be notified anytime that a video goes live. But hey, for now, yeah, stay safe, stay home if you can. Hope to catch you again on the channel soon, but ta-da for now.